Well, hello everyone. Here to show you that the Rabbit TV Art Manual, say 5, sequel is you see right here is for part 5, as that you're talking about is like with part 5 is like talking about weather. It is like here is 5 days, and of course with 7 days of a week it is, and with most of us we're probably thinking about if you were to buy Rabbit TV, it is that more likely knowing about it's like besides like what you call it's like for over 25 you say 1,000 choices of TV programs, and then of course with say radio broadcasting, you say stations it is, and then knowing about works by the work of the internet it is, but basically talk about with weather right here is that I went ahead and talked about, of course, is like besides usernames and passwords, is by the time you do get logged on to the internet TV, it is for Rabbit Internet TV that you probably thinking about is like knowing about with the weather forecast, and I really don't know it exactly in particular like knowing about. I guess if you just select TV shows, it's like a weather channel. I guess more likely there's a way you can actually you can actually pull it up. You say if you actually go to the page it is, but then of course with this art manual coloring right here is basically showing about that with radio stations with radio stations with weather lookup it is that more likely that if you were to be in that case of a severe thunderstorm it is, and a lot of times with a lot of people probably thinking about that with the weather especially, that they wind up losing their connection or the reception if they have like satellite, or if it's say cable TV it is, that more likely that they may lose their signal it is due to the fact because of the weather it is. And a lot of times for to let get everybody aware of knowing about what's going on in the weather it is that with the weather that more likely that you're probably thinking about that yeah, when about the weather that that it works just fine, but then of course in case of the bad weather it is, it's like knowing about if you were to buy a pack of batteries to put into a flashlight it is knowing about a flashlight will be a good thing to have in case of the severe weather comes it is. But on the other hand too, knowing about, I went ahead and drew this right here, this icon, other than talk about it's like with the Lego movie, and of course with the other things from the other one from number 4 that with number 5 is talking about with the weather that knowing about videos that more likely you could watch. I have not tested it all just to see if all these options are available on Rabbit TV, but I'm assuming that more likely that there's a way to find out, like knowing about that with the Rabbit TV that you can go ahead and stream the weather forecast you say for your local area it is, and more likely it's possible that if say about is that if you were to actually use it and knowing about that you may have to go to the internet site, and with Rabbit TV I think that it may automatically bring up as long as the search if you were to program that to count to go to like which calls like the search engine dialog it is, like where if you were to have like Internet Explorer or maybe Google Chrome it is that you would be able to go directly to the site, and it would show you like talking about with the local weather forecast it is. But anyway, that we could probably thinking about is that with the weather it is a lot of times that we don't have control over the fact about what it does, but then of course about how we can view it it is, if it's in HD or if it's you say maybe in 3D. And I don't know, people probably thinking about make a big deal about the 3D weather forecast it is, but on the hand too, knowing about if there's any reports of any showers and thunderstorms you say in your local area, stuff like that. But on the hand too, knowing about if it was like what you call 53 now since it's summertime, since it's about but say around July, I say middle of July it is, that more likely that we maybe start seeing maybe at 95, let's say 95 degree to 120, you say 120 degree heating index it is, like you got right. It's like talking about, it's like with the heat index it is, you talk about between 80 and with the humidity 80, 90, 100 degree heat index it is. And with most of us, we're probably thinking about that, the type of things that more likely that you would like to see, coming to like your internet TV will more likely be is that where you can actually look at the weather forecast and then be able to search, any local counties it is. I know of a few other programs I have, of course, besides with the internet site, is that where you can actually look up the different locations, say of the weather forecast, if it's maybe San Diego, or if it's Chicago, or if it's down Houston, Texas, that you would be able to look up the weather it is. And people probably thinking about, besides getting it to work, is knowing about getting the passwords and everything memorized, is knowing about exactly about what the weather is doing. And with most users would probably say about that to have control over a lot of that stuff, and knowing about the amount of control that you have on from how it works, that from the control that you have about how it works and stuff, and we're probably thinking about that, hey, that after you get connected to the internet it is, and then knowing about that, hey, that you got right here is the sun. And we could probably think about with Rabbit TV, if Rabbit TV is ever going to allow it to where that maybe we could maybe add like what you call a screensaver, say icon it is. It's like have like the sun right here it is. Have the sun and then draw it to where it don't look like like a peach, but anyway they have it to where it's like with the sun, and then showing the daylight, see a daylight image right here. And a lot of ways that people probably think about, if you want to talk about, it's like with maybe with landscapes it is. It's like draw it to where if the weather would be like, say with landscapes, or if it was say near the ocean it is. It's like kind of like you say a body of water is like near the ocean it is. But on the other hand too, that knowing about with the weather it is, that we could probably think about that the way I'm drawing it right here, it's almost like talk about was maybe a black and white TV, etc., etc. But anyway, of course this is it's a pen here. But anyway, use the blue. Got the blue marker right over here. But anyway, the weather forecast, and a lot of times anybody who uses Rabbit TV would probably think about that, knowing about have a good clear signal of the station it is, of the weather station. If it's for weather, Doppler 8 is it is, or Doppler 7 it is, and just knowing about that to make sure you don't lose signal, and of course is to make sure that you're in a safe location in case that there is any type of tornado activity going on. And a lot of us were probably thinking about with a lot of that HD stuff it is knowing about that, probably thinking about, hey, it's no fun compared in real life, is it, about what it looks like if it's a tornado or a hurricane or anything like that. But on the other hand too, that knowing about that, we may not have control over what the weather does. It's like that the weather is gonna, if it's typhoons or if it's any type of tornado or earthquake activity it is, that we probably thinking about that, hey, that you don't really have control over about the fact about, it causes about 15 to 25 or so $1,000, hundreds of $1,000s worth of damage it is. And then knowing about, can we really control about what direction it goes? It's like if it's southeast or northeast, stuff, something like that. But on the other hand too, that we could probably think about that even if we did have control over it, well, you gotta send it somewhere. If you want to be like Superman, to where you're gonna go ahead and bring the hurricane, send the hurricane to the moon or something like that. Like, well, actually it goes, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the coal mine. You go ahead and place it in the coal mine, and they can go ahead and do some damage in the coal mine, because people will probably be digging for gold in there anyway. But on the other hand too, that knowing about it's like, with the weather is just going to do what it's going to do. But then on the other hand too, that it's like that something that works, during the bad weather it is, during the power failure. A lot of times I notice around here that that the the weather, that I try to find things around the house that that would work, even during the bad weather, severe thunderstorm and maybe heavy rain and hail damage. It is that something that would work, especially like a radio that would. But if we're talking about Rabbit TV here, that we're talking about power, that generation, that in case of the power does go out, and then there's a way that you can still use it, and more likely that I'm assuming, have not tested it yet, that with the Rabbit TV gadget that you can maybe plug it in and test it, just like on the laptop. It is that on a laptop that you maybe have backup power in case of a power failure. It is that that something would still work, to where it would give you the updated alerts about what's going on in the weather forecast. It is. And the same thing is like what I tested on Magic Jack. It's like with Magic Jack that with the power supply. It is that not only with the internet supply but with the power supply, that whenever the power goes out, and then more likely that means that this right here, this can't be this cannot be supplied, and more likely then it's what you call is like disabled. It is. It's like what you call it's turned off. It can't work. So, and a lot of times that they're probably thinking about maybe something that can be used as knowing about if there is any type of weather emergency. It is that knowing about that weather emergency or anything like that, maybe medical emergency, then knowing about that type of it's like talking about with Rabbit TV here. It's like knowing about any type of emergencies. It is knowing about, as long as you're in a safe location. It is. And if they were to offer any type of channels, and I would think maybe Rabbit TV would probably think about any new channels that maybe that they would be working on, that to talk about investing. It's like a few channels that most of it they may already have them, but a few of them I may come up in mind would be like what you call is like a the Olympic Trezenia station, about the Olympics, or it could be another say besides Disney Channel. It is that you could also have like what you call is like the zoo, besides Animal Planet, like what you call is like a zoo for researchers or something like that channel, or maybe the wedding channel, and it's like they have like that women's entertainment, stuff like that. But anyway, that those lists, more likely I can maybe think of maybe a couple of them. But so far as talking about with weather, that I can maybe thinking about that with way technology is knowing about this type of stuff, more likely that anybody, any kid age 12 or 13 would probably say that maybe anything that has to do with the remote control or anything like that, we're probably thinking about that. Hey, actually, is there anything that what you call is like to where you can actually roll a ball, where you can actually move the ball, and of course it's like do a few, write a few things on a notepad or something like that, with like on a little touch screen or anything like that. But anyway, that knowing about that with and people would probably thinking about anything that requires like talking about with the clear moon. It's like have a screensaver. A lot of people probably think about with Rabbit TV. I'm sure that's possible that you can go ahead and add like a screensaver. Like what you call is for clear moon, is where you can actually have it to where that if you were to get on the computer doing your homework one of these days, and just knowing about it's like for a clear moon. The clear moon, that means that it's like weather's pretty clear. It is. It's like no hazardous weather is expected at this time. It is. Again, you are listening to No Weather Radio Station KWN. Like, here's your local forecast for your local area. But other than that, it's like talking about, it's like you got the right there is the moon, and then of course it's like for the sun, of course with the sky it is. But on the other hand too, that knowing about if we were to actually do our homework, is knowing about it's like about the fact about if it works or not during the bad weather. It is knowing about that yeah. It's surprising about is like it's a device that is so small that more likely that can do so much. It is, and people probably think about really that for how much it costs, $10, for $10 a year, and just knowing about that really, that, you know, if you can maybe think about, you know, the things that you can learn about it, really, you probably think about it is I enjoyed to where you know about it if you got your money's worth. But talk about it, it's like for the Rabbit TV and Art Manual 5, you say talk about the weather coloring.